All right, it says model number is CZGYB Auto-Pro. The weight is 8.3 kilograms. That's pretty light. That's only the weight of 2 guns. The cooling method is it's fan air cooled. So another cool thing about this is you don't have to run water buckets or nothing like that. Oh yeah. It's a 3-stage compressor. Power supply can be AC 220 volts or AC 110 volts or DC 12 volts. So that's like I'm saying, you run it off your car battery, but make sure your car's running at the time. 350 watts of power. The inflation pressure is 30 MPa or 4,500 PSI. Charging rate is 20 minutes for a 0.5 liter tank or 0 to 300 bar. So that doesn't really matter to us because we're just going to be topping our guns off. But let's say that you did want to fill a huge tank up. Even my water-cooled Yonghang, I don't run it for more than 10 minutes. So if your gun is going to take 20 minutes, let's say I want to fill my Zeus up and it's brand new. This is the only air compressor I have. Just run it for like, I don't know, 7 minutes, okay? Let it cool off for half an hour at least, and then run it for another 7 minutes. You'll be surprised. You do that a few times and your gun will be pumped up, and it'll make your compressor last years instead of months. Okay, so we saw this side, and that basically just unwinds this plug right here. Is going to plug in to the 12 volt, which we'll show you in a second. And right here, this is a standard XT60 connector. Zoom in on this bleed valve right here. So this right here is your bleed valve. So at the end, when you're done filling your air, you go psh, that lets the air pressure out, and then you can safely unhook the hose from your gun. So one thing is that, let's say this compressor turns off and you want to turn it back on. Never turn it on with pressure in the lines. So when you turn your thing off, you're going to want to open this bleed valve. So like right now it's open, right? I'm going to hook it up to my gun, and I'm going to probably start the compressor with the valve open. That's just a good practice. And then as soon as it starts going, simply turn it like that. You don't have to turn it tight. You just snug it up. And then something I'm going to tell you guys about these compressors. If your compressor ever gets to the point where it won't build pressure, let's say it'll only go to like 220 bar, and you're trying to go to 250, the very end of this tip is shiny and it can become corroded. So you want to pull that out and polish it with an emery cloth and put it back in. You're good to go. Definitely nice looking. I love the blue color of these.
My dog tips are awesome. It's awesome too. So
this is the business side right here. So that's going to plug in right there, and you're going to want to have your car running while you're operating this, because it might take, 5 minutes to fill your gun up. There's a fuse right there. That's pretty self-explanatory. You just change the fuse just like it was a car stereo. That's where your plug plugs in. If you're running it at home off the wall, that's your thermometer. There's a nice flashy on and off button. And this is your burst disc. So basically, this happened on my Yonghang the second day, didn't hurt it at all. Basically, I let it get to 5,000 PSI. Then there's a little brass disc in here that bursts. So that's a safety thing. And then you just unscrew this, put the new disc in, and then just gently snug it down. You don't tighten it. And then that replaces your burst disc, should that ever happen. Right here is your standard 1/8 quick disconnect Foster fitting. So that's where you're going to plug your hose. And this has a little moisture filter on it, but I'll show you guys on my big tank. You want to get one of the big moisture filters from AliExpress, because that's what you want to run in addition to the one that these guys give you. There it is. We got a nice thick rubber thing, and I'll show you the underside of that in a second. And there's like finger grooves, and that's all metal right there. There you can see there's nice hard rubber finger grooves in there to help you carry it. This was inspected by their best guy. And there's the ToAuto logo. These guys make a lot more precision stuff than PCP compressors. If you look on their website, they make all kinds of neat stuff. Oh yeah, the last thing I forgot to show you is this right here is actually a super powerful fan. So you don't want to block that or have that next to the wall at all. In addition, we're going to be looking at the bottom right here. So the bottom has these little feet right here, And you don't want to put this on carpet because I don't see any vents on the bottom of this. Okay, there are a couple Allen keys right there, and that's probably where your motor bolts on, so check that every once in a while, make sure that's tight. Don't put this like on carpet, because even though there's only 2 little vent holes right there, the carpet would make this more hot. They always say that. There's a little view of your stuff right there. And let's check out this side. Here's another, this is a whole side of vents that you don't want to block. So although this would fit nicely against the wall with one corner of the wall there. Whoa, there's one here too. Okay, don't block this one and don't block this one. So this is a peninsula of fans, you guys. So yeah, you can't have this next to any corner at all. That's the only thing you can have next to a wall. But anyway, so this right here is going to change it. If you want to change this from 110 to 220 volt, you just flick that switch right there. And I'm not sure what this is. This is probably because this whole thing sucks a lot of air. So this is probably for air to come either in or out. Don't block it. I'm saying that because I've blown compressors up by blocking them. Like I blocked one for like a couple weeks and didn't break right away, but it broke shortly thereafter. There's a look at those screw heads, and it's just like ching ching, ching ching, ching ching ching. So you can undo that. That's got a cool look to it. I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in here. All right, so right here is your pressure gauge. All right, there's the angle I'm looking for. Okay, so that little needle right there, it's actually bent down. You can see that little piece right there. And that is where your gauge is going to stop when you preset it. So to preset it, you just turn this bad boy. So basically this side of the needle is where that little part that I showed you was. So let's just say right here we got 5,000, 4,000. You want to go 4,500 psi. So there's a pretty good shot. So I got that little bent down piece right at the 300 bar mark. So now your pressure will just go up, and then when the needle hits that, this thing will shut off. There's what the fuse looks like. It's just a common auto parts fuse, but it'll probably come with a couple of those. That cover just snaps right back on there. Something I didn't notice before, this has got a little air filter, a little moisture catcher. So that's probably like a 1/2 inch bolt, and it's got some sort of a moisture catcher in there. Right there on the front of your compressor. All right, here's what's in the bag. We got your basic 1/8 quick disconnect thing, and you unscrew this, there's a little moisture filter in there. And then the other end, the other end has got your quick disconnect. It's gonna connect to your fill probe, or in some cases your gun. We got a nice manual, and I'll go over this in a second. Whoa, look at that, you guys. Full color, everything explained. Wow, very thorough, everything explained in detail. Wow. Now you guys, I never learned to read, so obviously I won't be able to read this whole thing. So right there's that burst disc that I was talking about, and these are made of 24 karat gold, so that's why they pop out at 5,000 psi. This right here is for your silicone oil. You want to use pure silicone oil, which is also known as treadmill lubricant. And so obviously there's going to be an oil port on there somewhere. We'll find that in a second. I'm not really sure what you use those little plugs for. Sometimes maybe to test the pressure. These are your filters. These are little gasket thingy dingies. So I guess like extra O-rings probably for here, and I guess a couple other places. So once again, you guys, I want to have good air circulation on all 3 sides and on the bottom, so get this away from any walls. I wouldn't want to shove it right back in that corner. Would not be smart. Alright, you guys, I'm about to go get my gun and set this up, but a couple things I wanted to tell you. Generally, you don't want to plug an air compressor into an extension cord, so try to plug that directly into the wall. Don't set this like on a table, because this is going to vibrate like the dickens. So if you set this at some place, it'll fall off. It'll just vibrate, walk off the table, and fall. So don't do that. Alright, I got a couple guns here. We got the Hatsan Flash Wood, which is a very small tank. And then This is a 250 bar, and I only have about 125 bar in it right now, and that's actually a huge tank. That tank goes all the way back there. So we're going to do these two, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my Zeus, which is like more air than both of those combined. My Zeus holds about 1/4 of what fits in this tank, okay? And then it uses it up in about 6 shots. So this is just when you plug it in, not when you turn it on. So it sounds like a jet engine right there is your super powerful electric fan cooling system. And then you hit the compressor button, and now turn the compressor on, and you can start filling your gun. It's going to top off most guns in less than 5 minutes. Once again, it has that handy auto shut-off feature. So in this case, I've set my auto shut-off at 200 bar. This gun has a 200 bar fill, but I noticed that my compressor wasn't building pressure. Here's why. Alright you guys, this is an Avanix fill probe that just happened to fit my Hatsan flash. And when I would fill it up with my 4500 PSI tank, it would hiss air for a second and then it would seal just from the pressure. But I'm telling you guys, I've had a lot of experience with these, and 99% of the time, if your thing's not building pressure, it's your fill probe. You know, something's leaking. Either the O-ring in the 1/8 quick disconnect can get out of place, or you know, one of these O-rings can get microscopically, get a little crack in it. So never panic if it's not building pressure. Try a different gun with a different fill probe. That's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so this right here is what's called a 1/8 BSPP. That's the threads that are inside here. Anyway, so it's a 1/8 BSPP quick disconnect Foster fitting. So that's what's going to fit in the end of this. So this is just like your construction air compressor. You just pull back on that, get that in there. That's a nice snug fit. Also, this is just for filling guns and little buddy bottles. You never want to try to fill a full-size scuba tank with this compressor. So right here I had a brand new fill probe from Talon Tunes. I'm filling my Taipan Veteran Tactical, and I set the auto shut off at 250 bar. As you can see, it's shut off exactly at 250 bar. So the auto shut off works awesome on this. Alright, I'm going elephant hunting tomorrow, so trying to get my Zeus 72 cal ready. Takes a lot of air. I'm guessing that that cable is not long enough to reach to have that on the ground, so this is going to be tricky. Get my rifle and my compressor balanced up here without either of them falling off while I blow it up. This is crazy, you guys. I never imagined that this would work out this way, but everybody's safely on the ground. So guns safely on the ground. That's not going to pull out while it's going, and we're ready to rock and roll. That gun was actually close to 300 bar already, but I filled my gun up perfectly, shut off at 300 bar. Those cables were real handy. They wound up and clamped right in there perfectly. Look at that business, you guys. I just came in from outside and it's glowing in the dark. Glow in the dark gauge too. That's awesome. So I've always said that a portable compressor like this is the easiest way to get into PCP, the most affordable. So this is half the price, you guys, of another compressor that we all know about. And I'd say that it's as good a quality, probably better. Definitely a really nice compressor. Can't go wrong. There's a link in the description. If you go through the link, I will get 2%. What I was saying though is you can't go wrong with this compressor, I don't think, for the price. Looks like definitely the best portable compressor that I've ever reviewed. Alright, guys and girls, that's it for me on this one. I appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, link in the description. These guys were super nice. They sent this compressor out to me and trusted me to do a video for them, so they seem like really nice people. Alright, everybody. Happy shooting. We'll see you on the next one.